Hey everybody, welcome back to Esoteric Ramblings. I'm Jesse Arnold, and today I'm giving you my reaction to Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Episode 4 and 3. Everybody, welcome back to the channel. Sorry I did not get a Falcon and Winter Soldier Episode 3 reaction out last week. I was driving for work and just didn't have time to watch it in the morning, and had a busy weekend, didn't get around to doing a full review. So I'll throw a little bit of Episode 3 in here at the beginning. I'm not going to put any spoiler warnings on Episode 3 review, which is happening now, because it came out last week. So if you have not watched Episode 3, right now I'm going to talk about Episode 3. So, yeah, I thought that was last week's episode was pretty great. The whole breaking out of Zemo and going on the run with him to Madripoor and everything, which has me really excited because for any of you who have been watching, you know I'm a huge X-Men fan, and I'm really happy to start seeing some of the X-Men stuff starting to show up in the MCU. Madripoor is a huge part of X-Men culture and storylines, so it's nice to see that. I haven't watched it a second time yet, so I don't know if I missed any references or things other than, you know, the Princess Bar and a couple obvious things, but I'm not expecting there to be a whole lot of super obvious things. There might be some little nods here and there, because these shows are pretty good at hiding stuff in really well, but I thought it was great. Like everybody else on the internet, I thought the whole Baron Zemo dancing in the bar was kind of funny. And yeah, it was a really intense episode, and I'm... by the end of the episode, of course, we get reintroduced to Sharon and what she's doing to help them and everything, and how she's been, you know, disavowed by America and all this stuff and on the run. After last week's episode, I started to think that maybe she is the power broker, or at least has some dealings with or an alignment with that, whoever the power broker is. Because we haven't seen the power broker yet, and that might be an obvious twist that she is, but I kind of hope she's not, but it wouldn't surprise me if she was at this point. But that said, I'm not basing that on any actual knowledge. That's just my own theorizing going on in my head. I thought it was some great action sequences. It was a lot of fun. I loved seeing Madripoor. The way they filmed it and the styles and the look of it was really cool. And of course, the ending of the episode as Sam, Bucky, and Baron Zemo are going into his safe house in Latvia, which I'll come back to that. And the guest appearance introduction there at the end was really great. So I really liked seeing. I don't remember the character's name or the actress's name, but the Dora Milaje that. Wasn't Okoye, but she was the one that was featured the most. She was in Civil War, you know, that confronted Black Widow as they were coming out of the facility and everything. And yeah, so it was really nice to see her again, and I'm excited to see how that plays out in Episode 4, which I've already seen. But I will say, I got really excited when I saw Latvia come across the screen, because I was tired, and I got all excited, and I thought it said Latveria, and even though I'm not a complete idiot when it comes to geography, I was just so excited into MCU lore that I added extra letters and misread the title of the country, the actual country that really exists, Latvia, and then they said Riga, and went back to it again. I was like, oh, right. So I got super excited for two fake places to show up in the show, and had to apologize to my mom because I got one wrong. And yeah, so there it is. And that's kind of my reaction to Episode 3. Now, moving on to Episode 4. Yeah, so we pick up pretty much where we leave off with Winter Soldier having the conversation with is like Io, I don't know what her name is. I don't remember. The Dora Milaje warrior, and that was pretty cool. Like I said, it was really great to see her back, and she Yeah, so that's right where the episode starts off for episode 4. Um, and yeah, I think we're hitting the middle of the series, or is there only 2 episodes left? I can't remember if there's 6 or 8, but it's getting intense. Again, like with all the Marvel shows so far, with WandaVision and now this, the acting, directing, set production, like everything is top notch. I don't think there's ever a moment that I'm thinking like, oh, this is just a TV show. Like, this is like, don't get me wrong, I loved Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and that show had a great run for the most part. This definitely feels like something different. Even the Netflix shows, which I really liked for Marvel, this just feels like it's at another level than those shows were, as far as just the connectedness to the MCU itself, to the movies, and just everything just feels more tethered together. So, and just the quality. And again, the Netflix shows were fantastic. I'm not trying to diss them in any way, but just these shows just feel like they're on another level. That's all I'm trying to say. So yeah, this is another intense episode. This show has been pretty good between balancing out the drama and the conversation with the action. And it's a little different than a movie, because a movie you only get 2 hours, and these episodes are about 40-ish minutes long. So we're already at a movie length for this show, pretty much, with what we've seen. And there's been some awesome action sequences all around, and yeah, I can't wait to see how the rest of this plays out. That said, I'm going to jump into spoilers now for episode 4. So if you don't want episode 4 spoilers, stop watching now. Well, this episode plays out pretty much how you expect. The Dora Milaje show up. They tell Bucky that he's got a time limit on how long they're going to let him run around with Baron Zemo before they come for him. And it's the Dora Milaje, or Milaje, I don't know how to pronounce it correctly. They, they're not people to be trifled with. They are badass women warriors who are going to come for what they want, and they're not going to leave without it. So it's really cool to have that idea back, especially in this show. We do get a little flashback to Bucky and her at the beginning in Wakanda when he's being deprogrammed and everything. So I guess somewhere between taking him out of the ice and obviously before the events of Infinity War. So that was a nice little throwback to see some of that progress, and because they, talk about how they're going to do that for him in the movies, and then he's just better. So I don't know if we'll get into more of that, but for me that's enough. It's enough to admit that they have addressed the deprogramming, because she goes through all the code words in Russian, and he doesn't do the ready to comply and all that. So it's actually a very emotional scene. Sebastian Stan, I think, is a fantastic actor, and he just nails it in that scene. And just knowing that that's the build up to what we see next with him in Infinity War is pretty intense. So, and then we've got Sam and Bucky trying to find the Flag Smashers, and trying to talk to Carly, and of course John Walker and the new Captain America and Battlestar, was it Lamar Hoskins? They come in and they kind of get involved, and things go bad, and it's kind of playing out how I'd hoped it would, where he would be maybe a little arrogant, a little in the way, and he oversteps his bounds. And just when you think Sam is getting through to Carly because he's talking to her, because remember, he was a counselor for the soldiers, struggling with PTSD and things, and when we meet him in The Winter Soldier, so he knows how to talk to people. He's been a soldier. He knows how to deal with this. So he's getting through with her, and then of course John Walker comes in, and he's just being all gung-ho what he thinks Captain America should be. And fight breaks out. Carly had gotten the rest of the serum, and it gets destroyed. Baron Zemo comes after her. He destroys all of them, he thinks, and then of course John Walker finds one and pockets it without anyone seeing. And clearly him and Sam and Bucky are at odds. They're on complete opposite sides of how this should play out. They go back to the safe house, and with Zemo, and then John Walker and Lamar come in, and then the Dora Milaje show up, multiple of them, and it's this really great action sequence in the safe house. Of course, Zemo gets away, and John is completely disappointed because he got taken out by these warriors, and they weren't even super soldiers. And then you see him and Lamar having a conversation about the serum and if they would take it. And, and essentially they get to a good point where, like, if they had had the serum in this certain point in time, they might have been able to save people that they lost when they were in combat together in Afghanistan. And, further securing the idea that John's going to take the serum. And then Carly threatens Sam's sister to try to get a meeting with Sam. She says she just did it to let Sam know that she was serious and she wasn't actually going to go after her. So Sam comes in a little hot to this meeting with her, and then of course the new Captain America and Battlestar show up, and all hell breaks loose. And it turns into a fight. They end up, huge spoilers here, they end up getting into a pretty intense fight, and Lamar gets killed in the battle, and that just sets John off. He chases one of the Flag Smashers out into the public streets of the city and beats him to death with the shield. And there are dozens and dozens and hundreds of people standing around, and they're almost all videotaping it with their phones. And of course Carly is there, kind of hidden, watching this happen. And I gotta tell you, that made me almost sick to my stomach. I do, obviously, I'm from America, and I love this country. It has a lot of problems. It has a lot of problems in its past. I'm not trying to deny any of that. And this is a show, but it's hitting some pretty serious points and things. And seeing Steve Shield covered in blood after killing a guy, I just finished this half hour ago, and I'm still trying to process that. Like, I don't like it. It's almost like Anakin's lightsaber at the end of Revenge of the Sith at that point. It's like, why would Obi-Wan give that to Luke and be like, oh, this was your father's lightsaber, It just killed dozens of children. Like, it's ruined. It's ruined. The shield itself is now ruined and tarnished. Now, I know how this is probably going to play out, and someone else is going to get the shield. And they're going to redeem it and make it better, and maybe that'll be part of the story for whoever gets it next, is them kind of reclaiming the ideals of what Captain America is supposed to be. That John Walker, he went really hard down the road. I hoped they wouldn't take him, and they did. They went hard for it, and that's how the episode ends, with him killing a guy and everyone seeing it. And yeah, it's kind of a not fun place to start the workday off. So anyway, it's still, I like that this show can make me feel that uncomfortable and that upset with this, because it's hitting some nerves, and it makes me think a lot more about real life and things that go on, people that use good causes and symbols to promote pain and suffering and hurt and hate and all of that stuff. So, but that's not what this is all about. So that's my review of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, episode 4 and a little bit of 3. So I'll be back hopefully with my comic rundown later this weekend, and hopefully we'll be back on track with these next week. Hope you all have a great weekend, and I'll catch you next time. Ramble on.